New York may be bringing an NFL record 9 consecutive road victories in one season to Lambeau Field, but what they're about to get is 4-degree temperatures. Hey, how are you, folks? Jason Horowitz, NFL.com's
How you doing, Jason?
Pat Kirwan with you on the NFC Championship preview presented by Comcast. And Pat, Tom Coughlin didn't want to talk about it. His players don't want to talk about it. But by the fact that they have to keep answering questions about the weather, it's obviously playing a role. In your mind, how much of a factor is the weather?
I don't think it's going to be much. This is a Northeast football team. They can go out and practice outside and get ready for this as well as the Green Bay Packers can. And they also have another thing that goes in their favor. They have a big, powerful running attack. You got a 260-pound fullback in front of a 265-pound running back. And I talked to Jim McNally today. He used to coach the Giant offensive line, just retiring up in Buffalo. He thought the Giant running game, the power running game to the left behind Deal and Soybert was what they should do. And he thinks they have a chance if they can stick with that plan because they're not behind in the game.
And make sure you have to hang on to the football, something that Ryan Grant did not do for the first 2 times he touched it last game. But, you know, that's a very interesting point here. Obviously, the Giants have been able to run all season, but when these two teams met back in week 2, two totally different teams than what they are now. The Giants didn't have a defense. The Packers didn't have a running game. The Packers have a great running game, and the Giants have a great defense. Which one is more improved?
Well, the Giants' defense has gotten better, and they got better right after that game. It all started, I believe, a week later. But neither Ryan Grant did not play. He had 1 reception for 21 yards, didn't carry the ball, and Brandon Jacobs didn't play in that game. And remember, Eli Manning had just injured his shoulder, so there were a lot of things different. These will be 2 different teams. But the Packers were able to handle the Giants in Giant Stadium. Now they've got to go out to Green Bay. And by the way, home field advantage used to be a problem at Lambeau Field for a couple years. Mike McCarthy's regained that. They're 10-1 at home in their last 11 games, and they're really stingy on defense. 14 points a game at home.
Well, that is the other part for the Packers. We'll get into their offense in a sec, which last week set a postseason franchise record with 42 points, but their defense, it's very good. When we talked about the Giants playing Tampa Bay, we said Tampa Bay had a good defense, but they didn't have the offense to keep up with it. We talked about Dallas. We said Dallas had some problems in the secondary. Green Bay doesn't have the holes on defense that the other two
No,
teams.
they don't. Here's what they have. And this is a different picture for Eli. This will be tougher for Eli Manning. They have 2 covered corners, Charles Woodson, Al Harris. They can lock up receivers, and you can be really free to do anything you want with your safeties. Blitz the safety, Atari Bigby, pretty aggressive player. Get him down in the box to stop that big, powerful Giant running attack. And then Eli's got to take a look at receivers that are going to have corners hipped up on them, taking that look away. It's really tough for these quarterbacks to throw when there's defensive backs as close as Woodson and Al are going to be. And remember this, those 2 Giant receivers, really good players. Neither one of them a deep threat right now. Plaxico's hurt. Had a big catch first time. He can't run like he used to. 8 yards a catch in the playoffs. And Amani Toomer is a possession guy. So they're not going to be afraid to cover these guys man-to-man.
Toomer did have 2 touchdowns in the game against Dallas. Plaxico,
against zone coverage.
Zone coverage, which you're not going to see in this game because, as you know, and as you've talked about all season long, the Packers are very good rushing with the front 4 guys. But so too are the Giants. You got Tuck with 10 sacks. You had Umenyiora who had more than 10 sacks, and Strahan was up there as well. I mean, you have great guys that can get after Brett Favre. We talked about against Jeff Garcia, they had to get him on his back. They did. We talked about Tony Romo. They had pressure in the second half. Can they have that same pressure, the Giants' defense, against Brett Favre?
Well, there's a couple things here. Brett's already been at Giant Stadium against his front 4.
But it was a different front 4.
It was a different front 4 where the fire zone schemes weren't in place. But if you ask me to break down the front 4 first, which is what I'll do here, you got to look at the 38 times Brett threw. Tuck got to him once. Strahan didn't get to him. Osi didn't get to him. Once they incorporated the fire zone, the pressures from linebackers and safeties, that changed a lot of things. It made tackles have to block the ends without any help because the chip blockers had to pick up someone else. Last week when I watched them, when Spagnuolo played straight defense, Dallas had their way moving the ball. As soon as Spags turned up the heat and got into the fire zone stuff, then all of a sudden the Giant pass rush looked pretty good. You're going to have to bring extra heat. Problem is, Brett Favre is going to come out there. Guaranteed he's going to come out, empty sets, spread you out. 3 receivers one side, 2 receivers the other. Make you spread out so he can identify where the heat's coming from.
The other part to the Giants' defense last week, and I know you talked about it in the postgame show, was that Marion Barber ran out of gas. But when he had plenty of gas, he was able to run all over the Giants. Ryan Grant do the same thing?
Ryan Grant is an excellent stretch zone runner. So when you're watching this game, you're going to see an unusual run scheme with them. Brett Favre will come out of the center like he's running for his life. He'll have the ball fully extended, and they're trying to run the outside stretch play. They're trying to get Antonio Pierce to get over the top right now. And what Grant is great at is cutting back off that, square his shoulders, get back up inside, force the linebackers to over-pursue. That's where his big runs have come from. Pierce has got to be patient. Got to stay inside out. Cannot get over the top. If you do, Grant will hurt your backside.
All right, you've got all those numbers and everything there, and you've got two teams both playing extremely well football right now. We'll see how it all plays out. Let's throw it onto the computer and see who wins. On the computer, 64% of the time, the Packers came out victorious. Remember, at home, Brett Favre trying to get back to the Super Bowl for the first time since the 97 season. He said he thought he'd get there a lot more times after that year, but it's taken him a long time to get back. He's 60 minutes away. Do Brett Favre and the Packers get back?
Yeah, I like their home field advantage. I said it, McCarthy. He's got that reestablished. They're stingy on defense at home. They score 30 points a game at home. They've done well against playoff-bound teams this year, 4-1 against playoff teams. The Giants are limping in the secondary. Ross says he's going to play, but nonetheless, when they spread out and give it to you with those speedy wide receivers of theirs, and Jennings is becoming a star, Donald Driver is still Donald Driver, Lee can split the middle of the field. I think there's too many weapons in the passing game, and they've got to be hoping for wind. And I think it's going to be cold, but I don't think it's going to be windy. I see Favre throwing the ball for about 300 in this game.
Yeah, and his arm a lot stronger than Eli Manning's. If there is wind, plays a huge role in this game as well. The game kicks off at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, and for more on this one or the AFC Championship, be sure to stay with CBSSports.com and watch everything else on the CBS Audience Network. For NFL.com's Pat Kirwan, I'm Jason Horowitz. We'll see you at the Super Bowl, folks. Take care. Yeah.